Hello, everyone, and on behalf of the PMO Squad and Meister Plan, we are so excited to have you here today. We have an exciting announcement, which we will obviously get to, but today we'll be talking about smarter portfolios and better delivery, the winning formula, if you will. You are in listen only mode, so if you have questions, please use the questions panel to ask questions along the way. We'd obviously love to make this an interactive session, so any questions that you have as slides go through the presentation, please, we encourage you to put your comments and questions in the questions panel. We are recording this session, so there will be a follow-up email with that recording, so if you can't stay for the whole thing, not a problem. You'll be able to view the on-demand version then. And now over to our today's presenters, Joe and Christoph. Why don't you guys introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Hopefully most of you know me already, but if you don't, I'm Joe Puzz. My friends in the industry call me PMO Joe, and super excited to share this news with you today. Christoph, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Christoph. I'm a managing director at a German software company called Meister Plan. And in that role, I work on some of the intellectual foundations of our offering, as in how to make your life easier, how to make organizations better in delivering projects. I'm also volunteering for PMI's PMO Global Alliance, which will become relevant in just a second.
Very good. Let's jump in. So, this is an Irish pub in the city of Paris. And a few years back, Christoph and I were both attending the PMO Unconference from PMO GA. I think we had heard of one another and maybe exchanged some emails or LinkedIn messages, but we had never had a chance to meet. So Christoph coming from Germany, me coming from the United States, and we're both in Paris. At the end of one of the days of the conference, we had a WhatsApp group chat going back and forth. And so folks said, hey, we're going to be meeting at this Irish pub in Paris. Why don't we all get together? For me, I had actually brought my wife to this conference with me, perfect chance to score some points and bring her to Paris. So we didn't attend. We went to a restaurant and finished up dinner. We were walking out of the restaurant and Americo Pinto almost literally bumped into us. It was a step away from us as we were exiting. And turns out Americo had been at this bar and suggested that we should go because the night was still fairly young. So we did. We walked over, wasn't too far of a walk. And in the right-hand corner, you can see that little railing. We were all wedged over in that corner. Amira Mahazahari from Australia was there. Louise Gardner from Australia. Dr. Harris was there. Leo Torres was. There's a whole bunch of people from around the world. And it turned out that Christoph and I ended up standing across from one another with a table in between of us. And we started talking. And what was great was we were the same person, right? We had similar families, we had similar interests, we had similar professional backgrounds. And more importantly, we had a similar idea and concept of what our companies are and how do we operate, who we like to work with, and the customers that we seek out. And it had to be at least an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of conversation, a few drinks along the way, of course. And typically when I have these networking events and you talk with somebody, maybe somebody you haven't met in a while, you always say, hey, let's connect afterwards and let's keep the conversation going. And usually nothing happens, right? One party or the other gets distracted and whatever it may be, and that's fine. But in this case, there was this insatiable desire, right, to be able to continue that conversation, which we did a few months later when we met in LA, I think it was, for the PMI conference. And it's a series of events that leads us here to today. And Christoph, I don't know if there's anything you want to share about that day as well, but a German and American walk into a pub and fill in the punchline that comes afterwards of that joke, right? But here we are today, so not much of a joke out of it. I think a great story with a happy ending.
Perhaps another way to put this is that Joe and I in that bar discovered our joint why, our shared why. I'm not sure whether you guys are familiar with Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, that you should start with the why, the purpose of why your company exists and why you are serving customers and what is the problem that you're trying to solve. But we really felt, and I know that's like going into solution and not so much the emotional piece, but that there is a shared understanding of a challenge in organizations delivering projects. And the industry typically responds to those challenges in project delivery with more of the what and how. So, what methodology should we be using? Which tools should we be implementing? But Joe and I both believe that's the wrong place to start. So Joe, yeah, and what you will see, by the way, in this webinar, you will see a wild mix of slides, because some of those slides are Meisterplan branded, some are PMO Squad branded, because we just took them from like the slides that we use anyways. Yeah, so it is really our common story. So what do you see on the what and how perspective, Joe?
Yeah, so the PMO squad's been doing this for over 12 years now, and we're a project management PMO consulting firm here in the US. And almost every engagement we go into, the PMO leader or the organizational leader wants us to address the functional capability of the project delivery organization. PMO, some organizations don't have a formal PMO. They always look at it from strategy to execution, right? The portfolio in between and all of those interdependencies. What are we going to work on? We're going to work on portfolio management. We're going to work on resource management. We're going to work on project management. The what is always clearly identified. How are we going to do it? They have a methodology. They have systems. They have tools. They have templates. The what and the how are always in place, and yet organizations continue to struggle. Could be team-based, it could be individual-based, it could be leadership-based, it could be system-based, it could be process-based. There is this boundary that doesn't allow the PMO to escape its own self. And with that, the PMO is able typically to build good maturity, right? They have built a resource management process that is now 5 years in the making, and the organization has that documented and it's available for others to learn. The challenge that we've found, and this is working with companies around the world, is there are always gaps in the value being created by PMOs. And I know this is a buzzworthy word that's out there today of we're trying to generate value, but it's buzzworthy because it's impactful. It's buzzworthy because it matters. And if you're not creating value within the organization, if you're keeping it restricted to just your space within the PMO, what happens is you get limited acceptance. It isn't sticky. It isn't consistent. And we get churn, and there's turnover in PMO leaders and the process we follow, the tools we use. That's not by accident. It's just because we're focusing on what we're doing and how we're doing it. The end result of that is the PMO becomes unpredictable. It's not reliable. And worst of all, the organization doesn't trust what the PMO does. And if you have lost trust, you have lost any chance of success. Doesn't mean you can't be mature. We're going to have lots of PMO maturity out there, but we're not getting successful delivery and execution and value creation from the organization.
And here's another image that can show just that. I mean, someone was clearly focusing on the what and the how here. And this is a technically functioning staircase, I would assume. Yeah, so technically it was installed, but it doesn't connect to the rest of the organization. So while it's functionally correct, it is totally dysfunctional. You see what I mean? So maybe, or perhaps if you can go back one slide, Joe, here's something that we see very frequently, whether it's process or tool oriented, it's functionally, it's super nice. And sometimes or often it serves the purpose of one individual role. And in this specific example, it could be like maybe the chief fire officer is happy, maybe not on the outcome side. But it's not that people do implement processes or tools that are totally useless to everybody, but they just do it from their own perspective. And so everybody in the end becomes unhappy, although you've built this beautiful staircase. So why is that? Well, it's more than just the project manager that is responsible for, and you can go to the next slide, that is responsible for delivering projects. I mean, these are the roles that make up project delivery in organizations. It's not just the PM. There are many people who need to work together. And here's a way that I look at it. This is an information system. It is different actors, different roles, exchanging information, working together. And all of these actors have different objectives and needs. But each of those needs cannot, they need the others to work with them to satisfy that need. And that's unfortunate in a way. You're dependent on all these other people. You need to work, like actually work with them. If you look at the next slide, and I know that looks complex now, but what an organizational system needs is there are different actors that contribute things to that system for others to take things out. And if we go perhaps to the next slide here, what do people need? Like, what do the different roles need from that system to do their job right? For example, think of project managers. Often there is a delay in the project because the people who were supposed to be working on your project aren't available. So to make progress on your project, you need reliable resource commitments from this system, this portfolio management system, and we were talking about smarter portfolios. Or other roles, let's say a team member. What is important to people? Bring your dog to work? Maybe the team members, what they really want to do is they want to do a good job. They want to do their work right. And what do they need to do that? They need predictable focus time. So some of the examples that you see here is why resource management is such an important piece, because it is who spends time on what topic at what point in time. And while this is something that you're trying to get out of the system, you also have to put something into the system, sometimes even something that you are not willing to give up in the first place. Because you have to invest effort and time, and you don't have an actual benefit yourself, but someone else will benefit from it. Let's look at just one example here. Okay, can you go back here on the PMO director? I think that's a very uncommon way to look at it. Often, if you're responsible for planning many projects across many teams, you would think, okay, I need to collect all the data, I need to prepare all the decisions, I need to do all the reporting, whatever. But really, what I believe you are responsible to do is to create a collaborative environment where all of these roles that are involved in organizational delivery of projects can actually work together. And that's something that no way I can do for you. So I guess, yeah, we share the same why, don't we?
Absolutely. So what is the why in real plain language? We talked about this as a functional perspective. In the why in clear language is an organizational perspective. It isn't just the PMO that has to solve this problem. It's the organization as a whole. It doesn't mean that we don't want to build functional maturity. Of course we do. Just like every other department out there. The accounting department wants to have functional maturity. The sales department has functional maturity. Legal department, on and onward it goes. But in each of those other departments within an organization, the rest of the organization understands how they interact with that function. A great example that most people can understand. The accounting department processes all the invoices. In those invoices may have different benefits for different people in the organization. For instance, a salesperson may get a bonus if that invoice goes out sooner in the quarter and gets paid. So they have a desire to send the invoice out as soon as possible. But the salesperson doesn't have the ability to go send an invoice. It's restricted to the accounting team. That's the organization accepting it, even though there may be other benefits for other team members involved with invoicing. Well, the same exists for project delivery. Within our mindset is the functional component of a PMO lives within an organization. It isn't a standalone entity. And there are systems, not technology systems like MeisterPlan, right? There are organizational systems that are being utilized. Resource management, performance evaluations, compensation, escalations, communication. Those are all internal systems, and how do we operate as an organization? And within each of those systems, each individual and every team has specific behaviors that they follow to ensure those take place. Sometimes those behaviors are good, and sometimes those behaviors are bad. So for organizational delivery, what we're trying to get is not just functional maturity. Yes, we want that, but we want to be able to add to that. What are the habits that the organization and each individual and each team and each department are using? As an example, if there's a resource management request that goes out, functional maturity may have laid out that process. How do we request a resource? Somebody does the requesting and somebody gets the receipt, and they have to make a decision. If that resource manager doesn't respond back, that's a bad habit of ignoring the request. And resource management doesn't make an assignment of an individual to a project. The project gets delayed, and the PMO gets blamed in many instances because of that. But it wasn't the functional maturity that was the challenge. It was the habit of an individual within the organization. There are systems in place, like a performance evaluation, where we can put the onus back on that individual because we put in a requirement in their performance review must be responsive to resource requests. That is then going to create an additional habit. The habit of my year-end bonus is on the line, so I am going to act on these and try to get a good performance review. Those unwritten rules within the organization, when they're reinforced with habits and behavior, create acceptance across the organization for how a project gets delivered. It's not just the team member, it's not just the individual, and it's not just the function of the PMO that's responsible and accountable. It's now the entire organization, because we all buy in to how we're going to deliver projects. The organizational perspective creates organizational capability. That is when we are able to move forward as an organization and count on project delivery to give us value, to give us competitive advantage, and to help us achieve the goals, strategic and otherwise, that we have set across the organization. So,
very clearly, Joe and I share the same why, and so do the PMO squad in MeisterPlan. And we see the same challenges, we see the same principles. It's the most obvious thing to do. We're happy to announce that we're partnering more closely for the benefit of our customers in the United States and the rest of North America. And I'm really, really excited that the SPAR conversation in Paris has taken on that beautiful shape.
Yeah, it's super exciting because we, the PMO squad, we provide consulting and staffing services, and we partner with technology firms. We don't have technical expertise. So to be able to find another partner like MeisterPlan that has that system capability, that also carries the same why within the organization to be able to get organizational benefit out of us, is rare, right? It doesn't happen often that you can find a pairing where you have complementary services you offer, but a joint belief in why you're doing the work. So it was just natural for us. I think we had to get to this conclusion. And I know I'm super excited and can't wait to see what this is going to produce. For those of you who are kind of PMO squad followers or organizers that are attending, this is I'm your on ramp, right, to be able to get to Meisterplan and within North America and the United States, and we'll learn more about that here as we go forward to see what actually that has to offer, right? But for us, it's about people, process, and technology. Like I've said, the technology is Meisterplan. That's how we utilize the adoption of technology to drive PMOs forward, to be able to engage the organization and not keep that functionality in the PMO, but to broaden it out to the organization as a whole. So if you need people, we're here to help you with that. If you need process and PMO help, we can help you with that. And now we can help you with technology help to ensure that you have not just the organizational systems, but the technology systems to be successful.
Right. And since we have a little bit of time left, I would also present to you what Meisterplan technology. So the what and the how that we have. So the elements that we chose to bring forward to solve the challenge. Before we go into the demo, because I will show the demo the product for 5 minutes or so. This is what Meisterplan is about. We talk about portfolios, absolutely. So in Meisterplan, what we try to do is give to you a portfolio level workspace that is truly for portfolio management, that allows organizations build realistic forward-looking plans. Most organizations, I understand, have difficulties planning out their resource capacity, which in consequence leads to delays on projects because people aren't available to work on the things that you've committed to. So we are portfolio management software with a very, very strong focus on managing resources beyond the short term. And the three elements that I think you would need to understand from Meisterplan is, and specifically, unlike most of the project-based PPM systems that you might know, we work on the portfolio level. We don't work on tracking the delivery necessarily. And that's not the focus of the solution. It's the portfolio level solution. And with that, we see that when you plan ahead, or more than 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, half a year, your granularity of the data, so the level of detail that you need for planning ahead, has to match the time horizon that you plan ahead to. So different granularities, like the conons of uncertainty, all of you know that, but that enables you to get to those plans a lot faster than if you have to produce all the data in like all great level of detail for any time horizon to plan ahead. 2, in Meisterplan, there are no tasks. So this is not Microsoft Project, this is not Jira, this is not Asana, this is a portfolio level tool. But of course, your organization delivers work, and we on the portfolio level want to see how things are going, whether people are staying in budget and whatnot. So that's why we integrate with those delivery level tools. But we actually embrace that in an organization, multiple delivery tools exist in parallel. We actually think that's a good idea. And 3, if you want to plan ahead, there's a lot of uncertainty. So what you typically want to do is create a few scenarios on how the future could look like, and then try to pick your scenario and go with it, but have a good feeling and confidence in your decision making. Right. So that's the general idea. And again, as we have some time, I would grab the screen, Joe, and show people around in the tool. So
should be yours now.
So is this the right screen? I hope so. Okay. Oops. I guess you can all see my screen. What I'll do is I'll create a fresh instance of MeisterPlan. It's something that you guys can all do by yourself. Go to meisterplan.com and just hit try for free. And there you go. Here's your here's the start to your trial. What you do first is you look at the or you pick the context that you're in. Delivering project, of course, is the same across all organizations, but then again, it's a little different whether you're building projects, technical solutions for customers, or whether you're working for the internal IT infrastructure projects, or whether you're building headphones in product development. That's a very different setups. So pick your setup. I'll go for corporate IT case here, and we're today working as a portfolio manager. So what does MeisterPlan look like? Okay, I guess we have a pretty full screen here. And some people tell me, oh yeah, this is Microsoft Project. I have Microsoft Project. But do you remember, this is not task and project level. This is portfolio level. This is for people who coordinate a lot of projects across a lot of teams. We looked at the different roles. So I will look at how project managers or resource managers would be using this. But for now, this is a view that's built for the portfolio manager, PMO function typically. So what do you see here? MeisterPlan is, in this view, it's the portfolio designer, a screen that is generally split in two. Top half of the screen is a ranked list of initiatives. So you cannot have more than, like you can have 5 priorities one, but you can only have rank one once. So it's a ranked list of initiatives. Lower half of the screen, you see a resource monitor. Here's a human resource monitor, so it's resource load. There's also a financial resource monitor, which works the same way as the human resources, but I'll leave that closed for now. Something else that you see, I guess pretty notable, is this cutoff line that cuts across the screen. What does that indicate? It tells me anything above the cutoff line is a project that we commit to delivering at this point in time, and hence, of course, need people to work on these projects. Anything below the cutoff line, we're not committing to. It's not part of the portfolio. Now, of course, if you want to do more things at the same time, and I wonder whether that's a reality in your organization, that you have too many things to do for the time that you want to allow it, you of course need more people to work on things. So have a look at the bottom half of the screen. So this is the resource monitor in the bottom. Have a look at the bottom half when I move the cutoff line up and down, i.e. add or subtract projects from the portfolio. More projects, more load. Less projects, less load. Wow. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? But it's the most obvious thing like in the world. If you want to, if the same person has to work on 3 projects at a time with 100% of their capacity, it is not going to happen. And it's not the project manager's fault. It's the system's fault. It is, we are not looking at the consequences of making decisions as managers by allowing projects into the portfolio. And everybody is unhappy. Project managers can't deliver. Team leads are unhappy because they're swamped with new requests. The executives, they report to people too, and they don't get their results. This doesn't work. So let's go solve it. Let's start with perhaps this project here, the internal reorg project. And something seems to be wrong because it has a red line to it, right? So, okay, I'll click it. MeisterPlan in the bottom half zooms in to the roles that work on this project. Okay, junior consultants and project managers. And apparently here the junior consultants are overloaded. So what's a way to solve this? Maybe just assume if I split the project here at this point and push this out, you see how the allocation, so to speak, moves across the time in the bottom? Yeah. So if I push this segment of the project out a quarter, okay, I have my resource conflict resolved. Sounds good? That's one option. But let me look at something else, a different solution, because you wouldn't stop a reorg midway. Maybe this has occurred to you. Someone walks into your office, like your boss says, make it top of the list. Now, this is really priority number one. What happens if you make this project priority number one? Well, if I push this up in the stack, it becomes more important than other projects, which means that this project would get resourced and not the others, correct? So have a look at here. This is the stack for just the junior consultants. If I push this up in the priority list, have a look at the bottom half of the screen. As it cycles, the allocation cycles through the stack. See what I mean? So if this is the topmost priority, it will get done 100%. And it's transparent to the entire organization. Now, we haven't by miracle just added people to the organization. It's the same amount of people. So obviously, the resource constraint has moved to a different project, the SAP piece here. Now, but maybe, what if I split the project here, push this out, only, okay, a quarter, okay, then just almost a quarter, 10 weeks. But maybe this is something I want to do, and that's actually good for my budget as well, my portfolio financials. Yeah. So that's the general logic for the portfolio view, the portfolio manager view. And as Joe was saying, this is, of course, the technical representation of it. This is just the functional how and what of the portfolio manager role. And we have a view that's more for, the project manager. And we have a view that's more for the team lead. But always looking at what are the things that these roles need from the system and what are the easiest ways for them to do their job in Meisterplan. So that's it in a nutshell. I believe we have some slides left. I'm not too sure. Do we?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Let me share my screen. So just a couple of takeaways for me, right? Not as a Meisterplan employee or resource, right? But as a partner, what about that is attractive to me as a consultant to be able to work with our end customers? Well, when we go to solve resource management problems, as we were just talking about here, Christoph gave us an example. We want to be able to talk at the organizational level, right? And the PMO leader often just wants to talk about resource management. Now we have a tool, right, a software package that is able to carry that conversation to the executives and to be able to bring it to a portfolio manager and to be able to bring that to resource managers where they can all see the impact of their actions. So those behaviors that we talked about come into play, right? If we want to be able to see, okay, if you don't want to approve this and we have to delay the project start date, how are all the other projects impacted by that happening? Now we get a real world, real time view of what that looks like. So a consultant having tools in our bag to be able to assist our clients is so powerful for us. It takes us beyond what our current capabilities are. And same for Meisterplan, when we can augment their capabilities on the back end when an organization needs help being able to utilize our capabilities. And it's not just a system-based discussion, although Meisterplan is full of plenty of business process experts as well. So what does all of this get to, right? Obviously a demo, a partnership, but we want to be better together. And who gets to benefit from that? Of course we do, but all of you, right? I mean, that's the point of all of this, is trying to be a collaborative organization coming together to give you services. So one, We want to be better together. How can we do that? There's some questions already up in the question portal, but certainly ask any questions that you have of us. We want to be able to share those with you and make sure you have the answers you need. Number two, organizational project delivery, right? What the PMO squad talked about earlier, where it's not just the functional component of that. We are willing to be able to give you a free OPD assessment to help you understand where your organization is today. Not your PMO, your organization. This is not a PMO maturity assessment. It's an organizational project delivery assessment. How much capability does your organization have to be able to deliver on the projects that you have in place, the portfolios you have in place, and the strategy that you have in place to be able to get the value you need from those strategic decisions? What do you get out of that? The output of that assessment is a roadmap of what you can do to improve your OPD. And MeisterPlan is willing to give you a complimentary demo of MeisterPlan as well, because those two things work hand in hand. So you can see at the organizational level, where are we, what is our capability, and what tools do we have available, and what would those tools look like if we were able to incorporate them into our organization to be able to get this view. I'm super excited about that. I think it's an amazing opportunity for organizations to be able to get both sides of this. Christoph, your thoughts on this as well?
It has to start with the organizational perspective. Even if when you start rolling out process or technology, you will solve very, very specific things, and that's okay. You know you have a job to do, and you know that you have to, introduce templates and tools, and that is absolutely correct. But just from experience, you will do yourself a favor if you consider that organizational perspective. Even if it's just for your better understanding of your organization, because in the end, you will, I have to say, only be successful if you consider the organizational perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got time now, Rachel. You're back with us.
Back with you all. I just want to emphasize on that last slide, if you are interested in receiving that free OPD assessment, including the roadmap and the demo, I guess comment better together in the questions panel. That just gives us a heads up that you're interested in that offer. That offer is only available from today's session. So if you are interested in that, I highly recommend taking advantage of, again, a free OPD assessment along with a roadmap to how to improve your organizational project delivery, with obviously that complimentary demo of MeisterPlan. So feel free to find the question panel and enter better together, and we'll be in touch as a partner for you going forward. Obviously, there's information around reaching out to both Joe and Christoph on the screen, email, LinkedIn. We did have some questions come through, so I think we should get to those now. So if you do have additional questions, I guess feel free to put them in the question panel, or I guess raise your hand as well, and I'll, I guess, call on you. We'll go schoolroom rules on that, and get your question answered live. So there was one question, Christoph, while you were doing some of the demo of MeisterPlan related to financial data. Does MeisterPlan track detailed financials as well as or able to be interfaced with financial software?
Okay. Yeah, very happy to answer this question here. Before I do that, because I'll jump to the tool, I see there's another question on that I can just answer in one sentence. And a question that is on, what if I'm working in a confidential place and I cannot work in a web-based environment? Are there any alternatives? Yes, MeisterPlan for specific use cases is available to be installed on-premise. So we do have customers in the government and defense space, so that is something that can be done. Two, on the financials, I'm not too sure what you mean with the detailed financials. So what I will show you is our capabilities in the financial space. The second half of the question was whether we interface with financial software. Yes, we absolutely do. when you might remember when I started the demo and I was about to pick the product development type of setup, and I mentioned the headphones. This is actually a real case. So one of our customers is HP Poly or Plantronics, has had multiple name changes in the past, but this is a hybrid product development case where the engineers, like traditional engineers, work in Microsoft Project Server. The others work in the software people work in Jira, and they have a joint planning level, which is Meisterplan, and their portfolio decisions are made in Meisterplan. And once the portfolio is decided, all that decision-making data is then transferred to Oracle Financials for budget setting, just as an example of that integration capability. For the specific capabilities in Meisterplan, I will share my screen one more time. Look at this one. Okay, so what I'm showing you here is a configuration that we've done for demo purposes, and I'm just going into one of those projects here. This is already a very, very fully configured sort of project details screen. Usually I suggest you do a lot less. But what you see is, for example, you have budgets for projects in days and whatever currency you're using. You have plan versus actuals on the allocations and also on the financials. Perhaps I'll show you this over here. So there are planned financial events and actual financial events. You can enter them here or import them. Yeah? So it's a lightweight way to add all of these, all kinds of trackers. If this is detailed enough for your needs, so for example, we have different financial categories. This could perhaps be a bit what you're looking for. And I also direct you perhaps to our reporting section. So essentially, all of Meisterplan data, like all of it, is available in, let's just say, as you would do in a pivot table, or whatever you would be building in Power BI or so. So you can build reports or dashboards in Meisterplan. Also, of course, for example, on financial data, as this one here, plan versus actuals, CapEx, OpEx, and that's sort of what it would look like. You can also create, of course, visuals from that, but you see all the data is available. What I haven't told you, of course, this is the plan of record. You would typically, when you design portfolios, have multiple variations, so multiple scenarios. So, and this perhaps becomes really relevant then for the financial dimension of things. So if we go push this project out and add these two and remove that other project from the portfolio, what is the total impact on my portfolios, my financials, both on like the project level and on the portfolio level? And maybe this is the last thing to add here. What you see here in this part is OpEx, CapEx, and benefit budgets versus total allocations in your portfolio. So my portfolio, as we have it here, now is good on the OpEx side and on the CapEx side, yay! And we're actually even green on the benefits, but not so much for the next quarters. You see what I mean? Yeah. So if we push things out, so let's just say this might be an expensive one. Yeah. It works the same way as it did for the human resources and human resource capacity, and this is now financial resource capacity. Okay.
Thanks. Good. Hopefully, Julia, that answers your question. Obviously, if you have any additional questions, I encourage you to reach out to the Meisterplan team for, I guess, further explanation. There was another question around, is this being recorded and will the recording be sent out? Yes, it absolutely will be sent out via a follow-up email. So you'll have all of today's presentation in a recording for you to obviously revisit as needed. One question around translation of the product in different languages. Obviously, I think Meisterplan already is in a bunch of different languages. I don't know, Christoph, if you want to name them all or if just point to it.
it's English and English and German, obviously, but then
Yeah.
we have Spanish, French, and Italian. Those would be the next language that we have. No further languages planned at this point, I should say. But of course, if I've seen some more international guests, if some of you believe that in your market this could also be a relevant offering that you want to offer as a consulting company, and if we then see that there is a need in your region, this is absolutely something that we of course could be doing.
Excellent. If there's any other questions, I guess feel free to put them in the question panel. I'll revisit, I guess maybe Joe, if you want to go back a couple slides just to revisit the offer for today's obviously exciting announcement of the partnership between the PMO Squad and Maestro Plan, but also our, I guess, giveaway, if you will, for attending today and being here with us to celebrate this great partnership that we'll have and going into the future. So comment better together in that question panel. It's in your top right with the little question mark. And you'll receive a free organizational project delivery assessment. That deliverable from that assessment will be an improvement roadmap and obviously then a complimentary demo of Maestro Plan. So any questions that obviously we can't get to on a personalized level here today with Christoph and the Maestro Plan product can obviously be answered in that complimentary demo of Maestro Plan in that step 3 of the giveaway. So again, comment. Go ahead.
Because I saw there's one of the questions on the costs of the product. It's something that is probably also unusual for a PPM solution. You can just go to maestroplan.com for the license part of it, of course, not for the consulting, the license part of it. And it's we have transparent pricing. It's based on the number of people that you plan for, not on the users. So it's unlimited users, unlimited projects, unlimited scenarios. It's pricing is based on the number of people that you plan for.
We did have another question just come in as well.
Will the data be held on server or home computer?
So this is a cloud solution to enable, of course, easy setup and easy collaboration from different points in the world and people to collaborate. So it's not something that you install on your own laptop and then use by yourself, typically. But if the question is this something that is definitely 100% cloud-based and has to be in the cloud, or whether you can keep it in your own environment, as in install it on premise and then have people in your organization use it within your safe environment? Yes, that is also possible. The 2 hosting regions that we offer today are one in the United States and the other in Europe, Germany.
Another question on, is there a sandbox for trialing Maestro Plan? Obviously, you can go through the exact steps that Christoph went through today, actually, and go to maestroplan.com, click on try it free in the top right, and then obviously enter in kind of your use case and what you're trying to accomplish and kind of your role, and it will be set for you. Anything to add there, Christoph, on trialing Maestro Plan specifically?
Oh, totally go ahead, just try it out, play around with it, invite people. That's why we have the trial for. It's just like to try it out, get a feeling for it. Yeah. I also see a question on data safety and security. So that's actually a really, really important piece because people are keeping sensitive data here. I mean, this is management relevant information. What I can say is, so we're ISO certified. So that's information security certification at the highest standard. We have customers that are in government, in defense, in critical infrastructure, nuclear power plants, power grids, and the like. So we've yet passed all of the assessments that people could look for. Which is of course really important in construction and infrastructure, and which is also what I read about the other question here, whether there's integration with Oracle Primavera. There is no out of the box like drag and drop type of integration, but we have many customers that work like their project management in Primavera, and use Meisterplan for capital project resourcing across a longer time scale. So and of course it's possible to integrate. We have an API that is very, very complete and easy to use, but this would be a custom integration.
Last question there that came in is there any AI integration?
That's a good one, and I don't know whether you have the latest iPhone, but something about Apple is they delayed their AI capabilities until they were happy with that this actually delivered value to customers. And I have to say that that 10 years ago, no, 12 years ago, we actually had something, and still have it in the product. It's called the Auto Plan. So actually, Meisterplan would prepare a best resource leveled portfolio for you. But we don't think it's a good algorithm. And people don't understand it. And it's just, people don't like it. And we are, of course, working on AI integrations in Meisterplan around scenario optimization, around helping PMO directors where to look. So we had a portfolio here with 20 projects, but many of the organizations we work with have hundreds or thousands of projects working in flight at the same time. So second piece of AI would be helping people navigate observations in and across portfolios. And 3 is something around data quality. So directing like the person responsible for coordinating projects to who to perhaps approach, because likely they don't have the right data in the tool. Things like to come later this year, by the way, all 3 of them.
Little inside scoop there, everybody.
Yeah.
By the way, this is also, if you're interested in the roadmap, that's also public. Yeah. So if you go to meisterplan.com and hit the product tab, there is the public roadmap visible in one of the top entries. So you can look at what are the things that are planned, and you can actually vote for things that we should be building and comment on what you think the functionality should be, what you are missing. That's how we work with all of our customers around the world.
That's another reason why PMO Squad really wanted to partner with Meisterplan, as well as the transparency. You heard Christoph talk earlier about the transparency on their pricing. It's out there on their website. The product roadmap's out on the website. So many software companies kind of keep everything close to the vest, and certainly can understand that strategy as well. But as a user, right, you want information. You want to be working with a partner you can trust. You want to be able to have access to information and be involved in the development of the product you're using. And Meisterplan's a great partner for you to be able to do that as well. So there's nothing behind the veil, right? It's out there for everyone to see.
Wonderful. I'm not seeing any additional questions, but again, last chance to put better together in the question panel. I want to make sure that everybody here today gets a chance to get this offer, because I think it can really transform how your organization delivers projects. So that's it for today. Obviously, we're excited now. The secret's out. The PMO Squad and Meisterplan are now officially partners and are excited to continue to support PMO leaders and project teams around the world to deliver their projects better. So any questions that you have that come up, feel free to reach out to Joe or Christoph. Again, I encourage you to follow Meisterplan and the PMO Squad on LinkedIn. Both are active in being able to contribute great information to you outside of just product demos and things like that. But again, thanks for everybody's time today. We really appreciate you joining us today to celebrate this great partnership, and looking forward to what's to come.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye.